What if I told you one of the biggest obstacles in your acting career isn't your talent, isn't your training, isn't your agent, and isn't even your auditions? What if the thing holding you back is a grading system that doesn't exist anymore? Today, we're talking about something I see every week. Actors who graduated years ago, sometimes decades ago, but are still living like they're waiting for someone to hand them a report card. And that mindset may be costing them more opportunities than they realize. Let's talk about it. This is Casting Actors Cast.
Casting actors cast, what a show! With Jeffrey Dreisbach, we're ready to go. From agents to gigs, learn what you lack. Tune in every week, we're bringing you back.
Well, hello and welcome back to Casting Actors Cast. I'm Jeff Dreisbach. Thank you for joining me. Whether you're listening while driving to work or walking the dog, doing laundry, or avoiding memorizing your audition sides, which ironically we'll discuss in a future episode, I am so glad that you're here. Today begins a special 5-part series I'm calling the Actor Reset Series. And over the next several episodes, we're going to challenge some assumptions that actors actually carry around that may no longer serve them. And we're going to talk about the following: how you think about yourself, how you prepare, how you perform, how you present yourself professionally, and how you can build a healthier, more productive acting career. This first episode may be the foundation for all the others. Because before we can change behavior, we need to change mindset. And one of the biggest mindset traps actors fall into is believing they're still being evaluated they were the same way they were in school. Now, before anybody emails me, I am not anti-training. Far from it. I've spent years teaching actors. I love training. I believe in training. Training matters. But there comes a point where the habit that helps you succeed in school can actually start hurting you professionally. We're going to talk about why. But first, this is that moment of the podcast where I simply get to say thank you for tuning into Casting Actors Cast. It's been a joy and a pleasure bringing these podcasts to you every week. Every Thursday at 1 p.m., I drop a new episode. So the fact that you're joining this first in a 5-part series makes me so happy. Also, just to throw this out there, if you're interested in just getting some more information about me and or the podcast, simply go to castingactorscast, all one word.com. There you're going to find a bunch of new information. I've upgraded the website just a little bit. Also, there is a form there that you can fill out called Dive into the Talent Pool. Get it? Anyway, just fill out that form giving me your name and your email address. That's going to open up some absolute free material for you. One is a book on doing voiceover work, and the other is a video called Casting Secrets, What They Don't Tell You. But also you're going to see my courses available. I've got a new book that's been released, which I'm really proud of and happy that it's doing quite well. And there's all kinds of other stuff in there that you can certainly check out, including the YouTube channel. So if you do like what you hear, I would love a thumbs up, subscribe. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think of all of the things that are available for you to do. But most importantly is if you could leave a review, especially on iTunes, because that's sort of, I've mentioned this many times before, that's sort of the holy grail of reviews. Please consider doing that. It means a lot to me. I am not selling you anything. I'm just making my information as a casting director of over 16 years available to you so that you can be more comfortable and more confident. And so the only thing I ask in return is that you give me a little bit of consideration. Just knowing that you're out there is what motivates me to keep on presenting these podcasts to you. All right, thank you. That's enough of that. And here's my shout out to my good friends at Actors Connection, actorsconnection.com/New York. And once again, being hosted on the Broadway Podcast Network is a privilege and an honor. And I'm really happy to have that association. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about what I call the invisible report card. Okay, imagine this. You finish an audition. You get into your car, you close the door, take a deep breath, and then immediately you begin grading yourself. Anybody ever do that? Well, of course you do. Actors are Olympic level self evaluators. Believe me, you replay every moment. The slate, the first line, that weird thing you did with your hand, the moment you looked down, the callback adjustment, the goodbye, the walk to the elevator. The elevator itself sometimes seems to me that actors analyze the elevator ride longer than the audition. You start assigning grades. Oh, I don't know. My slate was a B. My first page was an A minus. Page two got a little shaky. That's probably a C minus. Plus, and then I forgot that one word, career over. Pack it up. Become a bookkeeper. I don't know why bookkeeping is always my backup career, but it's sometimes peaceful. The point is, many actors walk around carrying an invisible report card, and they don't even realize it. Every audition seems to become a test. Every callback becomes a final exam. Every booking becomes proof of worth. Every rejection becomes proof of failure. You know what? That's an exhausting way to live. And here's the problem. The problem is the professional world doesn't work that way. There is no acting GPA, no dean of auditions, no semester rankings, no honor roll for self-tapes, no academic probation for forgetting a line. The grading system ended. But many actors never got that memo. So where do you think this mindset comes from? Now, listen, to be fair, this isn't your fault. Most of us were trained this way. Now, think about your educational experience, especially in your BFA or MFA or conservatory training. You perform a scene, teacher evaluates. You do a monologue, teacher evaluates. You complete a semester, the teacher evaluates. You get a grade, a score, a ranking, feedback, approval, disapproval. For years, your brain learns a simple equation. Performance equals evaluation. Evaluation equals worth. The better the evaluation, the more successful you feel. Now, that system makes sense in school. Schools need a way to measure progress. But once you enter the professional world, everything changes. Suddenly, nobody is giving grades. You're getting information instead. And let me tell you, those are not the same thing. An audition isn't a test. It's a conversation. A callback isn't an exam. It's a collaboration. A booking isn't proof you're talented. A rejection isn't proof you're untalented. It's simply information. But actors often keep treating every experience like they're trying to pass acting 101. And that's where the trouble begins. So let me give you a real life casting room observation. Over the years, I've seen actors walk into auditions with extraordinary training, brilliant schools, impressive resumes, fantastic technique, and they were terrified. Well, not because they lacked ability, but because they were trying to get an A. Everything about their audition felt cautious, safe, protected, calculated. They wanted to be correct. Then another actor would walk in, less training, fewer credits, less experience. And guess what? That actor completely owns the room. Why? Because they weren't trying to be right. They were trying to be alive. They were present, engaged, available, human. And very often those actors booked, not because they were perfect, because they were watchable. That's a very different goal. So let me just share with you what casting actually sees. Let's continue this by talking about something actors often misunderstand. What exactly are casting directors evaluating? Notice I didn't say grading. Evaluating and grading are not the same thing. A grade implies a score. An evaluation is simply an observation. When I'm watching auditions, I'm usually not sitting there thinking that actor was an A minus. I'm thinking interesting, believable, compelling, too young, too old, wrong energy, or exactly the right energy. Wonderful actor, wrong role. Wonderful actor, keep them in mind. Most casting decisions are not about quality, they're about fit. And that distinction changes everything. Now, I want you to imagine buying shoes. You walk into a store and you find a beautiful pair of shoes. Excellent craftsmanship, wonderful design, but they're 3 sizes too small. Do you conclude that the shoes are bad? Of course not. They're simply not the right fit. Yet actors routinely leave auditions believing, I didn't book it, therefore I wasn't good. No, 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 no. You may have been excellent. You simply weren't the right fit for that particular role on that particular day. Professional actors really understand this. Student thinking actors often don't. One of the healthiest shifts you can make is understanding that many auditions are not judgments. They're sorting processes. We're looking for alignment, not perfection. Now let's talk about another dangerous school habit: competition. Gosh, you guys, I can't tell you how many times I've heard actors come up or say to me in conversation, I wonder who I'm competing against, or I need to beat the other actors. No, 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 you don't. Because acting isn't a race, and auditions aren't sporting events. There isn't a scoreboard. You are not competing against the other actors. You're solving a casting problem. That's a big difference. And here's what I mean. Let's say we're casting a detective, okay? One actor walks in and immediately feels like someone who's spent 20 years solving crimes. Another actor walks in and feels like a charming young lawyer. Now, both may be terrific, but they're solving different problems. One happens to solve the problem we're casting today. The other may solve a different problem next week. The actor who understands this stops worrying about everyone else in the waiting room. Because the truth is, you can't control them. You can't control who gets called back. You can't control so many factors. You can't control who books. You can't control who has a cousin producing the project. You can't control who resembles the director's favorite actor. What can you control? Preparation, choices, professionalism, presence. And that is absolutely enough. Now, years ago, I imagined what an actor's audition GPA might look like. Let me see 3.7 in procedural television, strong work in dramatic reaction shots, needs improvement in commercial slating, excellent attendance in anxiety, outstanding achievement in overthinking, Dean's List in self doubt, magna cum laude in checking IMDb after callbacks. I know I'm joking, but not by much. Actors often create an imaginary scorecard for things nobody else is measuring. One actor leaves an audition and thinks, I was only 82% truthful today. 82%? Where did that number come from? Did you bring a calculator? Did you measure your emotional availability with laboratory equipment? The truth is, many actors are inventing standards that simply don't exist and then feel bad for not meeting them. Whew, that's a rough way to spend a career. We're going to talk about why some A students struggle professionally right after this. Welcome back. Here's why some A students struggle professionally. So we're going to tackle a kind of a difficult subject. Some of the strongest students I've ever encountered struggled professionally. That's true. Not all, but some. Why? Because success in training and success in the profession require different skills. In school, you're rewarded for analysis. In the profession, you're rewarded for execution. In school, you are rewarded for insight. In the profession, you are rewarded for behavior. In school, you have months to prepare. In the profession, you may have 24 hours or less. In school, you are evaluated by instructors. In the profession, you are evaluated by the marketplace. Completely different systems. I've known actors who could discuss Chekhov for 3 hours, analyze every beat, break down every objective, identify every emotional transition, then completely freeze during an audition. Why? Because they were still trying to get the answer right. Professional acting is not about getting the answer right. I promise you, it's about committing fully to a choice. That's why you'll sometimes see actors with less formal training book more work. They're not necessarily better. They're often more willing to play, more willing to risk, more willing to fail. And ironically, that freedom often makes them more watchable. Now, let's talk about the actor who stopped chasing approval. I can remember working with an actor years ago who constantly asked, was that okay? Every audition, every workshop, every callback, every performance, was that okay? Eventually I asked, what answer are you hoping for? And after a long pause, the actor said, I guess I want to know I'm doing it right. There it was. The hidden motivation, approval, validation, permission. Like many actors, they're still waiting for someone to tell them they belonged. But here's the truth. Nobody can give you permanent permission, right? Because even if someone tells you today, you'll need someone else to tell you tomorrow and the day after that. Confidence built on approval is incredibly fragile. Okay, somebody write that down. That was really good. Confidence built on preparation is much stronger. Confidence built on experience is stronger. Confidence built on curiosity is stronger. The actors who last the longest eventually stop asking, am I good enough? And then they start asking, what am I discovering? That is a professional mindset, not a student mindset. Okay, let's make this practical. Because if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know I don't want these episodes to become motivational posters. I want them to be useful. I want you to finish an episode and actually do something with it. Okay, so here's your actor reset exercise. For the next 7 days, I want you to eliminate one question from your vocabulary. Just one. The question is, how did I do? Now, before anyone panics, I'm not saying stop evaluating yourself. I'm saying stop judging yourself. Those are very different activities. Instead of asking, how did I do? Replace it with 3 questions. Question 1, what worked? Question 2, what surprised me? Question 3, what will I try next time? That's it. No grades, no ranking, no emotional punishment, no audition report card, just information. Let's say you finish a self-tape. Instead of saying, oh my God, that was terrible, why don't you try this? My preparation was strong. My eye line drifted. Next time, I'll simplify my choices. That's growth. That's professional thinking. And professional thinking leads to professional behavior. Now, let me share something I've observed repeatedly. Actors who stay in this profession for decades, those long-term careers, they tend to approach their careers differently than actors who burn out. And the actors who survive understand something really important. The audition has value. Even the ones that don't lead to work. Think about that. You prepare, you practice, you solve problems, you build confidence, you strengthen your instincts. You learn how to recover when things go wrong. Those are wins. But actors carrying an invisible report card often miss all of that because they reduce every experience to one question. Did I book it? If the answer is yes, they feel successful. If the answer is no, they feel unsuccessful. Now, that's a very dangerous system because bookings are influenced by countless factors beyond your control. Listen, I've cast projects where the final decision came down to height, age, chemistry, availability, scheduling, budget, network preferences, producer preferences, a costume fitting. I've seen actors lose jobs because another actor looked more like someone else's sibling. You cannot build emotional stability on things you cannot control. You simply can't. What you can build stability on is preparation, growth, professionalism, consistency, and that's where your focus belongs. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Many actors are still waiting for a gold star. You know, the gold star, the symbolic one, the magical moment where someone important to you says, congratulations, you are now officially a real actor. Unfortunately, that moment never comes. Not permanently. You book your first job, you celebrate. Then you worry about the next one. You get your first co-star. Then you want a guest star. You get a guest star, and then you want recurring. You book recurring. Then you want to be a series regular. You get series regular. And then you want the next thing. You see, the finish line keeps moving. That's why external validation can never fully satisfy you, because there will always be another mountain, another goal, another challenge. The actors who seem happiest aren't necessarily the most successful. They're the ones who learned to enjoy the process. They stopped chasing gold stars. They started chasing growth. And that is a much healthier relationship with the profession. So, what does a professional mindset actually look like? A professional actor says, I'm prepared. I'm committed. I learned something. I'll be ready next time. A student mindset says, I hope they like me. A professional mindset says, I presented my work. A student mindset says, I hope I pass. A professional mindset says, I hope I connected. Listen, do you hear the difference? One is rooted in fear. The other is rooted in contribution. One seeks approval. The other seeks expression. One is trying to survive. The other is trying to communicate. That is a profound shift, and it changes everything. So here's your challenge. For 1 week, after every audition, every self-tape, every rehearsal, every class, every performance, replace how did I do with what did I learn? That's it. Simple but powerful. And if you're really ambitious, keep a notebook, write down the answer. At the end of the week, look back. I suspect you'll discover something surprising. You've been growing the entire time. You just weren't giving yourself credit for it. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. School gave you many valuable tools: technique, discipline, analysis, craft. Training matters. But one thing school often forgets to teach is how to stop being a student. Eventually, you must become a professional. And professionals understand that every experience is information, not judgment. Every audition is an opportunity, not a test. Every callback is a conversation, not an examination. And every rejection is simply part of the process, not a verdict on your worth. You are not being graded anymore. The report card is gone. The classroom is over. The only question that remains is, what are you learning? And how will you use it moving forward? The next time in part 2 of the Actor Reset series, stop making acting your entire identity. We're going to talk about why some of the most successful actors have lives far bigger than acting itself, and why becoming a more interesting human may eventually make you a better actor. I think you're going to love that conversation. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, keep creating, and most importantly, keep being wonderfully, imperfectly human. I'm Jeff Dreisbach. Thank you for listening. And this has been Casting Actors Cast.
From monologues to screen tests to